Quick reminder, in this tutorial, we'll be using a very sharp X-Acto knife and a hot glue gun, so please handle with care. Enjoy this free tutorial and follow along step by step. Two score lines. Just going to cut along the score line. One good block right here. Yep, as you can tell, we did use a ruler, and then I used the back of the X-Acto knife to make the score line, as you can see. We're just stab cutting it all the way down as straight as we can, right along the score line here. Two nice long blocks. We are going to make some arms. So we have our bicep and our forearm. As you can see, it's a fold trace and a fold cut. We have these two pieces that you should have in your PDF downloads. So I already did a fold trace and a fold cut. What I mean is, obviously the CF means center fold. I'm trying to see the best part of the video. There we go. Same thing with this. Fold trace, fold cut, boom. And you unfold it and you got these two pieces that look like this. We'll get to this one later here, but this is pretty much the same thing. It's just a semicircle with a little rectangle in the middle here, and that's going to actually be the shoulder. Take our foam. You should have some pieces like this, or you should have a square piece. A lot easier to cut your foam from Home Depot into little strips like this. And of course I cut a long piece like this here. It's just going to come in handy because you can just keep rolling it over and use each sides as we go, just like this. Let's go ahead and start with this one right here. Take our handy pin and write CF. It makes your life a whole lot easier if you cut things out on food box, cardstock. It's just really easy for tracing. We can use our Sharpies, yes, or we can use our Uniball Signos, or we can use even just the back edge of our very sharp X-Acto knife. Why not use the back of my X-Acto knife to show you how to just quickly trace this if you don't have a pen handy or you just don't want to use your pen. You can use the front side, but the front tip is just way too sharp. Why not flip it over and dull it down and use this as actually a marker tool. I'm just going to go ahead and follow this card box, and I'm going to move this away, and as you can see, I made score lines that I can equally see as well on camera. All I'm going to do, of course, yeah, you already know, just start at a point and just stab cut it all the way down. Not really up and down, but it's kind of at an angle. Right here, I'm going to go ahead and do this, and as you can see, I'm going to flip it over. And now you can see it on camera. That's the reason why it's a lot easier to cut a thinner piece that will actually house all of our pieces together. Now we can flip this over, follow this side at an angle, and this should plop out real easy. Look how easy that was. And now we are going to be working on our forearms. This long house looking freaky deaky piece right here. Put this on the same place. Wherever you want to go, it's up to you, but since this is a better, smoother place, that's where I'm going to do it. So let's go ahead and use the back side of our very sharp X-Acto again. And can you see that? Yep. You're going to go ahead and just stab cut this right along this area right here. And yeah, just stab cut it. This we're going to go ahead and cut straight down to this other, slip it on over. So this should come out just like an easy melon cut like that. Oh man, that's so satisfying. Go ahead and start carving this out. We're going to melon cut the flatter parts, not the chunky parts that we just cut out. Flipping this over, and it's going to be the factory cut right here and this little flatter part right here. Because the groove right here, this is going to be the outer portion of the forearm. All this right here. So if we flip it over, this is what we're going to be chunking out. What we're going to go ahead and do is, see, this is the flatter part right here. About 1/4 inch from this edge to about the middle, right about there. We're going to actually make a score line. Go like that. And then go ahead and rock it this way. 1/4 inch from this edge line, go ahead and make a square score line like this. I'm going to try to get this closer to the camera. Okay, so can you see that little tiny square that we made here? I'm going to go ahead and try and color that out. Use my Sharpie to color that little block out. We're going to cut all along the way, this whole entire block out, all the way down. Since I have a flat edge here, I'm going to go ahead and just keep this on the table and go straight down the line, right? And when we get to this part right here, I'm going to curve it out just a little bit and follow that same curve. Can we see that? Should kind of look like that. Flipping it over, we're going to do the same thing along this edge right here. Being very careful, I'm going to go gently right along this score line, and right when I get down to here, I'm going to follow this path and bring it on out just like this. All goes well, we should be able to melon cut this out. We should be able to pull it out because we scored it all the way down the line, and that's exactly what we want. So we should have something that looks like this. A little canoe, right? A little boat for your little ant critters. Let's keep moving. Same thing with this side. A flat side, put a square piece right down the line. We're making a little square notch out. We're going to place this right down onto the table. Very carefully, just stab cut it and follow it all the way down, just like this, right? So we've got a little cutout right here. Same thing on this side. We're going to flip this over, facing this flat right on, trying to be really tight and taut right down the line. I made a melon cut right here on both sides. Just pull this middle part out. That's all we're doing. Just take your time. You cut safely and don't cut yourself like I've cut myself like a few times. You don't be a Mike Merriman, but just take your time. You should have two pieces that have these two canals cut out just like that. These are going to glue onto our straw bones, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's continue with the arms. Eat your meal and slurp the coke down your throat and save your straw from Del Taco. Collect these from your favorite fast food restaurant. Let's bring back our little ruler here. Measure out 1.5 inches. Boom! 1.5 inches cut right there, right? And we need another straw that is going to be 1.25 inches, alright? So here's 1 inch, and of course, 1/4 inch right here. And we're going to go ahead and snippy snip. So we got a 1.5 inch and 1.25 inches. That's going to be the forearm, and that's going to be the bicep. Again, to reiterate, you need 1.5 inches, which is the forearm, 1.25 inches, which is the bicep. Don't worry about this extra straw right here. We're going to get to this later. And take note that I actually wrote an R on this. It helps differentiate which arm I'm working on. Let's bring back our pieces on the screen here. Forearm piece and our bicep piece. Let's go ahead and glue these on here. All we have to do, one trigger pump of glue and use the nozzle to spread it on like icing on a cake. Okay, now let's go ahead and pop our straw bone right on top. And we're going to go ahead and grab our handy screwdriver and assist with it because we can use some force with the heavy metal shaft inside the straw here. So now it should look like this, right? That's our bicep, everybody. Go ahead and glue our forearm. Do a full trigger pump of glue right into this little canal. Pop this onto a screwdriver, this straw bone. Bam! Right down there. See where the edge of the canoe goes up? That's where the straw is going to go. We've got a little bit of clearance down here. This is where the wrist is going to be. This is where the elbow is going to be. Go ahead and let that dry and adhere onto there. With the forearm, we're going to go ahead and cut off these side edges right down here towards the wrist. This is towards the wrist, and we're going to chop off this upper lump right here and just gently trim away little bits and pieces so this big thickness right here is really trimmed down. Really tweak your scissors like left and right, back and forth. Really trim this madness down so he doesn't have really like big ass Popeye forearms, okay? And now we can trim down this just a little bit, not too much, because we want the curvature right here for the biceps and the triceps, okay? But we're just going to go ahead and cut off a little bit down here, just down here at the edges, and just a little bit. There we go. Let's clean our desk, and there we go. Let's go ahead and attach them. So we have the two biceps right here, the shorter 1.25 inch piece. And we got the forearms down here, which is 1.5 inch of straw bone. We got the two wire joints. These are going to be for the shoulders that go into here. And these are going to be for the elbow joints that go into here. Let's go ahead and pick one. I'm going to place this aside and we'll concentrate on this one here. Take our bicep now. Remember the flat piece is going to be going towards the shoulder. This is where the shoulder is going to be. And the skinnier piece, that's going to be towards the elbow. Let's take one of our wire joints here. Start with the shoulder right here. This flat piece right up here. We're going to pinch the middle, right? And the reason why when we actually put the hot glue inside the straw bone, we don't want it leaking onto this side here because we need to do the same thing with this side, adding some hot glue. We're going to go ahead and just saturate the eye loop and the grip tip part of this here. And we're going to only put one trigger pump of glue. And keep in mind we're pinching that off. We're going to just attach this on the inside, making sure that the eye loop and the grip tip are getting a nice good saturation of glue inside. And let that kind of swashbuckle around. We're going to just let that dry exactly like that. We're going to actually do the same thing with this one here. Taking a flatter piece, pinching it in the middle, taking our hot glue gun, and we're saturating or also priming the pump of the hot glue to make sure that it comes out saturating the grip tip in the eye loop, and putting only one trigger pump of glue right in the top shelf of the shoulder, and then just plopping it in there and swashbuckling it around, basically twisting and shouting, and letting that dry up in there. Probably about a minute to dry to a decent point where you can keep moving on, and probably like 2 or 3 minutes to fully dry. As I've been talking, I've been actually looking at the clock. Yeah, this is actually dry right here. This one is semi-dry. And we can add the straw bone for the elbow. We don't have to pinch the middle because this is already dried up in here. We do want to prime the pump by saturating the grip tip in the eye loop. And we're going to do the same thing, a full trigger pump of glue. And this one we're going to go ahead and smash all the way until it stops. Swashbuckle around and let it dry, okay? Because this in here, it's going to melt, alright? So we just want to let that stay alone like that. We're going to go ahead and take this wire joint and do the same exact thing, priming the pump and just saturating the grip tip and the eye loop, and just put one trigger pump of glue right down in here. That's it. That's all we need. And just slam a jam it on in there. That's all we're doing. We can even like bubble this out and play with the straw to make sure that it's kind of welling out over all the joint. We're going to go ahead and let that rest and dry. This one here is, yep, that's already dried. We want to go ahead and add this on to the forearm. The bicep can be either one. We obviously need two. We need a left and a right, but this can be the left and the right, whichever designated or want to work on first. Basically, as you can see, I'm twisting it, and this will determine which one's the left and the right. This side with the canoe front facing the camera is going to be the elbow. So if we turn it over, it's like the forearm or the front arm is facing you. If we put the elbow underneath as it faces the camera, the bicep right here is going to be facing outward, and all the foam is going to be facing outward this way. So this is going to be the left arm. If we turn it over and the butt is facing the camera, we know that this is the left arm going this way. Hopefully that makes sense, but that's how we're going to do it. And we're just kind of dry fitting, okay? So basically, like the point of the canoe, right when it hits the straw is where we're going to be stopping. That's about a ½ inch of clearance of wire joint. So that's kind of what we want. Let's go ahead and add some glue. Right in here, don't forget to saturate the grip tip and the eye loop right up here. We just did one full trigger pump of glue, and then we're going to go ahead and just land that on there and make sure that the canoe tip or the foam tip just touches this straw here. That's how we're going to know have enough clearance for the elbow joint right there. And we're just kind of twisting and shouting this on here and let that kind of like well up in there and dry. We're going to do the same thing with this straw, except we're doing the opposite, facing towards the camera. Try fitting it like that. Let's go ahead and prime the pump and saturate the grip tip and the eye loop. We're only doing one full trigger pump of glue, pinching it off in the middle, and go ahead and slamming on down in there and making sure that we rotate it so that the bicep is facing the camera opposite to this one. We're going to lay it down next to each other, and while it's drying, make sure that both are even. If we need to pull this one out a little bit, that's totally fine. Making the arms even to each other is the most important part of this segment. So I need to go ahead and push this in a little bit, focusing my attention on the top of the shoulders to the bottom of the wrist. So we're good to go here. So let's go ahead and work on the shoulders. Let's bring our foam back onto the scene. And we've got this oval circle with a rectangle in the middle. Should be in your PDF downloads. It might even look like this in your PDF downloads to do a fold trace and a fold cut, but I already did this, so I'm going to open that up. We're going to go ahead and slap this right down onto the corner edge of our foam, just like this, everybody. And this time I'm going to bring my trusty Uniball Signo onto the scene. I'm going to go ahead and then just trace this out. We're going to get all detective style and Dick Tracy it out. We should have something that looks like that, an alien eyeball looking at you. So let's go ahead and cut this out. Go ahead and just stab cut it, kind of halfway with the blade, not all the way in. Gonna flip it over. I like having little pieces here because I can show it to you better on camera. Same thing on this side. Very carefully, we're just melon cutting this out. Good job, folks. Now we've got to take care of this middle triangle piece. We're going to face this right flat on the table right here. Since I'm on camera here, I'm going to kind of just show it, but pretend like this is flat on the table. Just for camera's sake so you can see this, I'm going to go ahead and stab cut it right down the line, just like this, so it hits the table. And the other side, this side right here, we're going to do the same thing right on top of the design. and boom. And then on the very top part of the hood, or the top part right here, I'm going to stab cut it right straight through, and it should melon cut out just like that. Oh, that was so satisfying. That's what we want, everybody. Let's go ahead and put this bad boy into play. It's going to be the right arm, because if we turn it over, the elbow's actually facing the camera now, and we pretend the face is facing the table here, this will be the right arm. I'm going to flip this on over. I'm going to go ahead and bend the wire joint to the right. That's going to help me signify that this is going to be the right arm when we're ready to attach it. Take note that I actually wrote an R on this, so it helps differentiate which arm I'm working on. Keep that little rockin' little joint like that. Take our shoulder, looks like a Pac-Man, but let's go ahead and put some glue right in the middle of this little cutout that we made, right in the middle of the melon. Right in the middle of the melon, we're going to go ahead and place it right onto the wire joint like this. The flat part is going to be flush on the top part like this, and we're going to go ahead and just press and let that dry. Pressing that closed, clamping it closed. And that should be pretty dry right now, but we're going to obviously let it dry a little bit more off camera. But yeah, you should have something like this. Shoulder, the front of the bicep, the tricep, the elbow pit, if you want it, the elbow pit, and this is the back elbow here, the top part of the arm, and this is where the hand's going to be. You should be rocking and rolling with something that looks like that. Now we need to go ahead and obviously make another arm. I'll probably do that off camera. You'll want to rinse and repeat the same steps, except do the opposite and have this wire joint go to the left. I'll actually bring in a couple on camera. Alright, so here's a couple I did off camera. We've got a right and a left. Because, well, if we face it this way, it'd be right and left. Anyway, these are the two arms. I know that they're right and left because I have the wire joints going exactly where they need to go into the socket. So that's what we got, everybody. Just kind of rinse and repeat and do the arms opposite of each other. Same cutouts, two arms. Okay, let's keep moving and grooving. You should see these two pieces in front of you. We have the forearm and the bicep piece. This should be in your PDF downloads here. Go ahead and cut yourself off a 7" by 5.5 inches of grocery bag paper saw. This is from Bonds, and like always, we are going to go ahead and fold this right in half, going the long way. I've already done it off camera, but I'm going to go ahead and just recreate these folds here. We're going to go ahead and find the middle and do one more time. To go ahead and take the center fold, which I didn't mark up in here. So CF and CF, center fold, center fold. And the great thing about this is we can go ahead and stack both of these pieces on top of each other and do everything all at once. This is just going to go ahead and fit right onto the center fold right here, as we know. Fit that flush. Believe it or not, that's a one cut right there. Right there. Trace this on out like this. Don't forget these are tiny little markers right here that we need to follow. Make these little TP triangle markers right here. The ones with the marching ants, just go ahead and make sure you clip these out. Follow everything according to plan. Okay, I'm gonna mark this up here as well. These are all markers right there. Okay, this one's pretty easy. I like that, and you should have something that looks like that. Stack this on top, center fold to center fold, and we're gonna go ahead and follow all these lines, making sure we mark everything out. And it should look like that. Go ahead and cut this out real quick here. I might fast forward this. So we should have something that looks like that, right? And let's go ahead and cut this one out. And keep in mind, since it is folded over twice, keep your fingers closer to the scissor blades because it's going to tend to shift up a little bit, as we already know. This is going to be cut out right here. And this is just a one cut right there. This little pizza slice gets cut off. This is a one cut right here. One cut right there, and this is also a one cut, and just make sure we follow this angle right here because that's a fork taper right there. And we should have something that looks like this. These pieces right here. Okay, oops, graphics right there. Turn that over. And there we go. Clean up our desk and start preparing these to be attached to the actual arm. Alright, we need to color these with our navy blue Sharpie. Okay, so yeah, we got the bicep and the forearm. Well, let's actually put this in the right direction here. These are the biceps and these are the forearms. Let's do a little bit of folding and concentrate on all the design here. We're going to go ahead and overlap these both together here. This is the forearm. I'm going to concentrate on these little markers right here. See these little marching ants right here? I've already made these tiny little teepee markers on both sides sides, you'll see these little marker dots right here. You're going to want to follow these marching ants because these are actually going to be folds, okay? We're going to go ahead and fold it along fold line here because this is going to be more of like a cut marker for us. Pretty much a PCO fold, basically a potential cutout. If you can see, I wrote PCO right there. Okay, and we're going to keep this fold in here because that's going to help us when we actually color it, because when we do some coloring, a lot of our little markers and our little guidelines kind of go away. So let's go ahead and undo this. I'm going to go ahead and just put a tighter fold in both of these here so that these little markers actually don't go away so quickly here. And we'll put a fold in this one as well here, right there, because that's going to be a PCO. Potential cutout means pick a side, any side, and you cut that side out. You're not cutting both sides out, you're just cutting one side. So that's what that means here. We're going to also concentrate on this line right here. This is a one cut. You can barely see it, but there's a little indentation. Fold this back on over on top of each other, and right where I made the finishing mark here is where we're going to stop cutting it. Go ahead and take our scissors, go ahead and cut it right down the line and stop where we stopped at that marker, right? We cut right down the line. We got some folds here. We want to go ahead and make these folds kind of go the same way. Now let's concentrate on this here. We only have to concentrate on really one fold here. We see these two little markers right there. We're going to go ahead and pile this back on top of it. We are going to make two little tiny markers. We're going to follow these little marching ants here, and we're going to make this fold here for two for the present. And we're going to undo this, take this middle piece one out, commit to creasing, putting a really hard crease on both of them since they're separated from each other. And there we go. Because these are going to actually be glued together, and we'll get to that in just a little bit, but it's going to look kind of like that. Same with this here. Just kind of repeat this here. It's going to be kind of looking like that. Let's bring our parchment paper back on the scene and color these bad boys, right? Make sure graphics are facing down towards the table because this is going to be the decoration side. And I'm probably going to fast forward this part of the video because I'm sure by now you know how to color with Sharpies, right? And if you don't, then I don't know what to tell you. So we have two of our pieces colored, the bicep and the forearms, okay? So that was fun. I only did one set because I already did one arm. This is the left arm and this is going to be the right arm. And I'm going to show you how to do the right arm on screen. So let's keep moving and grooving and having a good time. So we got the forearm is this piece right here. You should have this piece right here all colored up. And what we want to do is we will actually want to do a little bit of hot glue paper mache, but with rag cloth. So take a piece, this is a 2 by 2 inch cut. We are going to focus on this center area right here. Kind of where the elbow and the elbow pit's going to be. We want a lot of the reinforcements of this cloth right in this area. Let's go ahead and start adding some glue, and we're going to do this in sections, and we're just wisping this on with our nozzle here. Go ahead and just start really getting all of these areas glued with this rag cloth. We are folding and molding as we add this on here, okay? Just so that we can keep the shape and the curves of the arm. Go ahead and just going up the line here, and we're going to go ahead and do this side and this side here, and we're just doing this in sections, and we're going to do it pretty quickly. As quick as we can, just because the glue does dry faster than we want it to in this case, in which I love hot glue for that. So just keep in mind I'm using all my fingers to kind of fold and mold, curve all of this cloth on the inside. It's very important that we get all the cloth glued on every angle, every aspect of the arms here, okay? We're making sure that all the glue is kind of touching base to everything, and if it goes over outside the cloth area, that's totally fine. We do want to strengthen up even the small parts that are exposed to give it a little bit more stability, but the cloth actually adds that iron grit to it. That's the reason why we use the rag cloth part right here. Just making sure we get this, and we'll go ahead and just hot glue paper mache all of this exposed area, and then go ahead and batten down the hatches right there, everybody. Go ahead and hot glue paper mache down here, especially the wrist area. This is where the wrist is. Definitely want to add a little bit more strength down there. And we're going to go ahead and fold this paper mache over. And of course we know we can smooth it out just like this. We can start thinking about adding this on, but we're going to go ahead and reopen this slit right here. That was the first slit that we did. And basically what I'm talking about is just this slit right here. We want to go ahead and start thinking about adding it to our arm. One fold on the biceps I wanted to point out was basically right here, right close to this DFT, the dome fork taper. Right at the bottom of this FT, which is a fork taper, right here where we cut it, we're going to actually make a bend fold right up to this pivot point, this little point right here. Right at the top, we're also going to meet that bend fold right at the same pivot point, so that makes this curvy like pizza slice fold. I kind of did it off camera, but all you need to do is just go ahead and fold it like this and start at the bottom pivot point and fold it and use your thumbs to kind of crease that fold right along the marching ants. And then right as we actually fold it up, we're going to kind of curve this bottom part to the top part up here. And we're going to open it up and kind of meet that fold just like this. And we're doing it while it's folded so we can actually translate both sides to each other. This one's on the opposite, so we're going to tweak this on over. Because when we actually do the fork taper, we're going to fork it up like this, and it's going to round out like this. And that'll come into play later, but if you can see my marching ants drawings right here, I'm going to actually make it a solid line so you can see it better. Okay, so see where this cutout is? It's from the bottom of this cut and the top of this. And that's what we kind of want to follow on both sides. The main focus is to actually put that bend fold just like this, okay? Alright, so let's keep moving. We've made all our folds, we got it all painted up. We're going to start with this first V, little pizza slice fold right here. Just put a little bit of glue, this little V crevice, not so much. We're using our nozzle to smear it on. Again, not so much. We're going to go ahead and fold that V over. Boom. While it's drying, we're just going to go ahead and fold and mold with our fingertips and our fingernails. And we're putting a little bit of a curve onto that because that's actually the start of the outer and upper part of the shoulders, right? We're going to actually put a little bit of glue onto this little pizza slice fold. Just a tiny bit. We don't need too much. Barely squeezing on that trigger. Go ahead and fold this down. And while that's drying, also folding and molding, putting a little bit of a bend into it. Now we're going to bring our parchment paper back on the scene here. I'm going to go ahead and do some hot glue paper macheing right up in here in this crevice. Remember the bend fold that we made here? We're going to do it on the inside. Be a little bit quick about it. We're probably going to do this in parts here. Just put a little bit of glue up in here in this little crevice right here. I'm going to bring this parchment paper back around. Go ahead and fold and mold because it helps dry fast. We're just adding a little bit more strength down here. Do the same side here. All along the inside here, all up on this curved crevice right here. Parchment paper around, meeting that fold, folding and molding, and we are good. We are good on that. Now that we've already done that, we've naturally caused it to curve around. We can actually deal with this fork taper right here, this tab right here. And before we do that, we're going to want to go ahead and cut off a little piece of rag cloth. Okay, so it's about 2 inches this way. In terms of like wideness, that's about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, okay? And we're going to actually first deal with the under part of this shoulder right here. What we'll want to do is go ahead and put a tiny pin drop of glue right here in this ball area of the underside of the shoulder. Go ahead and tack this onto here. Have your parchment paper ready if you don't want to put your finger right in there. I'm so used to it though, it doesn't bother me. The reason why we did that was because we want to glue this piece of rag cloth onto this fork taper right here before we actually affix it to this bottom part of the bicep. Go ahead and add a small pin drop of glue onto this little tab right there. Go ahead and roll this on over, right like this, and let that adhere. We're going to use this as an actual pull tab because we're going to affix it to this bottom part here. And what we want to do is go ahead and put some glue right here on this bottom part, using our nozzle to spread it on like peanut butter right there. And we're going to pull down like a little tab. And we're going to go ahead and affix this whole entire rag cloth like that because we want this to actually pull up on this actual bicep cover like this. And see these natural folds that we made? Causing curve onto this bicep cover. As you can see, of course, is a different color action figure I'm working on. We can go ahead and just kind of fold and mold, and on this underside we can actually add a little bit more glue on each side of the rag cloth. It's kind of reinforcing the sides and closing up that closure right there. And of course, if we have any extra, we can go ahead and cut that off right here. We want to kind of do that first with the fork taper before we actually proceed with that, because it's a lot easier to get all of this whole inside created. But we just basically want to add a little bit more support along this inner seam here. Let's go ahead and talk about the DFT, which is dome fork taper. These two little tab strips right here. This middle part's going to fold under, and this is going to scoop in like this. So let's go ahead and do just that. Let's bring this in right here. I'm going to actually bring in a smaller piece of parchment paper, okay, to assist, rather than a big piece. Right along this inseam, this pizza slice inseam, put a little bit of glue right here. Barely a pin drop of glue, and of course we're bringing this middle tab up, and this bigger tab I'm going to go right along this inseam right here. What I mean by that is, see how this flat edge meets this flat edge, or the DFT tab meets right along the same edge line. Hopefully that makes sense, but this edge meets this edge is basically what I meant. And this smaller tab's going to stay a little bit loose. Going to bring our parchment paper on the inside, and we're going to kind of dome this out a little bit. Hence dome fork taper. And we're just letting that follow along this whole inseam here, using our thumbs and our fingers underneath just to kind of do this rolling action like that. And we made another part of the shoulder bubble out. The same thing right here. And of course we can see this middle seam. We're going to flip that up, and we're going to put some glue right on this inseam, this pizza slice. And we're not using a lot of glue. Seriously, not a lot of glue. This edge is going to meet this edge, right? We're going to fold that in, and it's going to go exactly like that. And that's the reason why we had this middle tab loose, so that we can actually push on it and fold and mold. And that middle tab's going to sink right in the middle of the grooves where it needs to be, because we didn't put glue on the middle tab. And that's going to weld and mold into the dome fork taper. It's going to become more rounded, and that's the reason why we do a cut like that. Let's go ahead and actually hot glue paper mache these two tabs. We need to actually put some hot glue on these two tabs and make these a little bit more ready to be used, because these are going to actually glue onto the straw bone on the shoulder joint. So let's go ahead and roll this over. And that should already be dried. So this is looking like a shoulder. We can go ahead and start thinking about attaching this onto the forearm and the shoulder and the rest. We're going to add a straw bone muscular structure to the arms, okay? It's actually going to be the back of the arms. Now I've got the left and the right. How I know that? Shoulder wire joint is pointing to the left, the shoulder wire joint is pointing to the right. Just to clarify, the padding down here is the elbow. So if we turn the elbow over, basically the back is facing us, we know that this is the left arm. So we know that this is the right arm because this is going into the right socket. And you can see here, this is a 1/2 inch of straw. I pre-cut out off screen, cutting another 1/2 inch. And as you can see, I cut off another. So I've got the left arm, of course, the elbow pit's facing the camera. This would basically be the front side of the bicep. Foam going outward is going to be part of the arm here. Where we're going to be placing this straw muscle, in this case, is on the back side. And it's going to be real simple. I'm just going to go ahead and put a tiny pin drop of glue right on the foam and the back straw. I'm just going to place it right on the back straw. The top part's going to be flush up against the shoulder here. Go ahead and push it down. I know that this is the back side of the arm. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to do the same thing with this one here. I have the front side of the bicep, the elbow pit. I call it the elbow pit, just like the armpit, and the back elbow. And this straw is going to go right on the top part underneath the shoulder. I'm going to place this right onto the foam and the straw, and this top part's flush with the shoulder. I'm pushing down and letting that glue really grab onto there. I'm going to flip this over while that dries. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one. Yes, thank you Del Taco for putting stripes on their straws. Right up the stripe. Boom. Alright, so we have extra muscle, and the reason why I did that is, see how it's loosely springy now? We want some spring in there, but we don't want it, so if we kept it uncut, it'd just be too rigid. But now, because it can grab inside of each other, it's a little bit more springing, so when we actually add the arm cover on there, it'll be nice and fantastic, okay? This one, we'll go ahead and do the same thing and add that springiness. We added a little bit more of muscle in the back so it's not so flat. The shoulders, I want to go ahead and bend these down So it looks like this now. So the shoulder actually goes across, connecting the upper part of the shoulder to where the neck's going to be here. We don't want to leave it like this because that's just too broad of the deltoids, but if we tweak it down like this, we're going to be in good shape. Go ahead and make sure that your shoulders are more bent on both of the shoulders off the actual straight edge line here. So we're going to have this like V-cut pizza slice spacing here now. Okay, so it's going to be more of like this. Alright, let's keep moving.